I am continuing with the Math 4 first test review. I'm on problem 4E, which you recognize is a subtraction problem with denominators that are almost the same, but actually are exact opposites. And remember with exact opposites, because we've already done one, that you factor a -1 out of one of those two denominators, and I'm going to choose to factor it out of the second one. So if I factor a negative out here, that changes to negative and that changes to positive, which now gives me z minus 3, the same thing I had over here. And that negative that I factor out, I'm going to take right up here and turn that subtraction into a positive. So now I have 5 plus 2x over the common z minus 3. Neither numerator or denominator has a GCF, which means there's nothing that can be factored, and that's my final answer. Now, I prefer to see that 2x plus 5 because I like my variable term in front of my number term, so it's in descending order of powers, if you remember that rule. And there's your final answer. Okay, moving on to the next one. Again, I'm adding, and I do not have a common denominator, so that means I need to find my common denominator, my LCD. I take the first denominator, y plus 1, write it down because I know I need to use that. Then I go to the second denominator and say, that's y. Do I already have a y? No, I don't. I have a y plus 1, so I need to put the y on it. And so now that's my common denominator. But I like to have my monomial in front of my binomial. Wouldn't change your answer, but I like to see it in that order. So now I'm going to look at my first term and say what is missing from my LCD, and that of course is the y. So I multiply the top and the bottom of this equation by y. Y over y is 1. I haven't changed the value. Over here, what's missing from that denominator is the y plus 1. Let me just erase out our LCD here. Don't forget that it's there though. I just need space to write. And I'm going to sort of put something around that so that we don't miss what it is. So what was missing here was y plus 1. So I'm going to multiply the numerator and denominator by y plus 1. And now my common denominator is y times y plus 1. The product I get when I multiply both of those, or both of those, of course it's going to be the same. And now what was missing was the y, so I have to multiply the numerator by y, and that gives me 3y. Plus, what was missing here was a y plus 1, so I multiply 11 by that, so that's 11 times y plus 1. Of course, you can distribute that right away if you see that. So now I have 3y plus, I'll distribute my 11y plus 11 over y times y plus 1. Now collect my like terms. 3y plus 11y is 14y plus 11 over y times y plus 1. I don't have a GCF here, so there's nothing to factor out. No factors in common to 14 and 11, which means that is my final answer. Okay, I'm subtracting on this problem, which is 4G. Excuse me, that's 4G. I don't have a common denominator currently, so I need to find a common denominator in order to be able to subtract. So I'm looking at my first denominator, which is 3m plus 4, and I'm going to write that down. This is, of course, looking for my LCD. That's 3m plus 4. And now I come to m minus 9. I don't already have that, so that's also going to be part of my common denominator. Okay, so now I look at my first term. Let me rewrite this so I have some space to work. M over 3m plus 4 minus 2 over m minus 9. I look again at my first one. What's missing from my denominator is the m minus 9. So that's what I'll multiply both my numerator and denominator by, because remember what I'm doing here is building my fractions so that they both have the common denominator. To build a fraction, you have to multiply by the missing piece from the denominator and do it to both your numerator and denominator. So here what's missing from my LCD is the 3m plus 4. So that's what I'm going to multiply my numerator and denominator by. Put that in parentheses so you don't think we're distributing just part of it. And now my common denominator is m minus 9 times a quantity 3m plus 4. And here I have m times m minus 9 minus 2 times 3m plus 4. All I did was write out what I needed in my numerator in that step. So now I'm going to distribute. That gives me m squared minus 9m minus 2 times 3m is 6m, and negative 2 times positive 4 is minus 8 over my common denominator, which was m minus 9 times 3m plus 4. Okay, collect my like terms here. I have m squared minus 9, minus, what's 9? Negative 9 minus 6, that's negative 15. M squared minus 15m minus 8 all over m minus 9 times 3m plus 4. And now I'm looking to see if there is anything that will multiply to negative 8 and add to negative 15, which of course there isn't. So that's my final answer.